Burks on his feet. He looks up and gives me a
Hey there, basketball fans. This is Duffy Ballard.
And this is Dave Levine, and we're the hosts of the Run TMC Podcast, a lighthearted deep dive into all things basketball.
We dive into all of it, Dave. Youth, high school, college, and even professional hoops.
True, Duffy. We unpack strategies, we break down games. We throw in some humor along the way. We're funny, right, Duff?
We are occasionally funny, Dave.
Sure. Plus, every episode we feature a special guest from Marin County's rich basketball scene.
So whether you're a player, coach, parent, or just love the game, tune into the Run TMC Podcast, where Marin hoops come to life.
You sound just like Michael Buffer. Don't miss it, Duff.
Or you will miss out. This is the Run TMC Podcast, the Run the Marin County Podcast, a podcast about basketball in Marin County. I am Duffy Ballard, and with me is coach and friend and mentor, Dave Levine. Good morning, Dave. It is 7:32 in the morning. You've got an 8 o'clock call. I got to be someplace at 8:30, so we're going to just knock this out.
We're going to be efficient. I don't know about the mentor moniker, but I'm honored. Duffy, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. What do you think about our ad there, Dave? We opened up with our new advertisement that we're going to hopefully place on podcasts all over the North Bay and perhaps even beyond.
The word that comes to mind, Duffy, is compelling.
But are we funny? I think there was a little bit a question mark there. We're funny, right, Dave?
Funny's in the eye of the beholder. I think we're funny, Duff. That's what's important.
Do you want to add a dad joke segment to season 2?
That's a slippery slope. I am armed. I have a substantial inventory of dad jokes. Duffy, I'm not only a warehouse, I'm a factory. I churn them out.
And when Addie and Lucy see a dad joke coming, do they groan? Do they guffaw? Do they leave the room? Do they cover their ears?
All the above. There's a lot of pre-eye roll situations, bracing themselves, like bracing for impact. But, Duff, we've got a job to do as Marin dads to make bad jokes.
I used to say to my daughter, Haley, at a certain age where she was perhaps excessively skeptical of her parents, I would say to her, "What is brown and beautiful and rolls all over?"
Go ahead.
Your eyes, Haley, your eyes. And it was true.
Haley, I'm sorry.
There's an eye-rolling stage. All right, Dave. The purpose of this episode is to introduce season 2 of the Run TMC podcast. This is a teaser episode that we have put together at the behest of our friend and host at 95.7 The Game, Dan Dibley. And so we're going to talk a little bit about our plans for season 2 of the Run TMC podcast.
Sounds great, Duff. Let's get it going.
All right, let's do a quick review of season 1 because there are 38 episodes, 39 if you count the bonus one.
We had some absolute legends on the show, and if you missed it, no worries. I've had a few people over the last couple of months come up to me and say, "Hey, I heard about this, but I haven't listened to it." And I said, "You know what? This cool thing about podcasts, those episodes, they just stay up there and you can go listen to them." But we had some luminaries of Marin basketball, some great conversations, coaches, players. Duff, who stood out to you out of season 1?
Well, our opener, still our most listened to episode of all time. I go back and listen to it for inspiration on a regular basis. Mike Fulton, who is indeed a mentor, just like you, Dave, mentor to both of us, and also just an amazing guy, amazing coach, and just has really impacted the lives of so many young people. So Coach Mike Fulton in the first episode, still one of my top 5 of our season 1. And then we did 2 episodes with Jonas Honeck, who really is one of the most thoughtful basketball people I've ever been around. And I learned a lot from our 3+ hours we spent with him. And really loved our interview of Mike and Ashley Saya, which we did at Marin Catholic, up above the gym. Just wonderful people who had, so much basketball experience and knowledge to share with us. So just a little touch on some of my favorite episodes. I also have to mention my brother, Chris Ballard. Hopefully we have him back on. Dan Dibley, his episode, hilarious.
Yeah. So we had You mentioned several coaches who were incredible, and we didn't even scratch the surface. We had many more awesome coaches, but we also were fortunate to talk to players, including past, former players who went on to play in college, in many cases the pros, but then also current high schoolers. So folks like Jace Butler, who's now up at University of Washington in Seattle playing for them, Josh DeVore, who's playing down at Cal Lutheran, Jake Vasquez, who's playing lacrosse at Notre Dame, your pal Owen Bugas, who's just, passion, energy, grit on the court, just so fun to watch. And then obviously ended his Archie Williams career with a 47-point game in the playoffs. Just a great group of kids, and more of that to come.
Exactly. Yeah. Owen is still inspiring our team, even though he's down at Cal Poly. He's playing a lot of basketball down there, but yeah, we miss Owen, and all of those kids were so impressive, Dave. I mean, they're young people that were all very composed and thoughtful and articulate. And we have more coming up in season 2. And so season 2, Dave, it's going to be a lot of the same for us, but we have a bunch of guests already lined up. We have 6 interviews in the bank. We have a number of guests that we're going to talk to this month. And then we have some new wrinkles to our banter section of the podcast. So before we get to that, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have coming up in season 2?
All right. So Dibs, I'm going to try and really do a teaser and not bury the lead here, but we've got some great interviews. We've already banked, Duff and I have already banked, I think 6 or 7 interviews. And, first of all, Duff, we don't suck as much as we used to, right? We're getting a little bit better at this, I think. I hope. But beyond that, we've just got some really interesting folks. So we got a little bit more diversity in terms of background and type of guests. So we have a former NFL player. We have a current Marin County mayor, Duff. We delve into politics. We have a Stanford recruit. We have a fitness guru. And then we also just have some basketball players, coaches. Our first up, we have an episode episode 1, I recommend everybody listen to. It's an incredible story. So I'm just really excited to share these interviews with our listeners. And then I'm looking at the schedule ahead, and we've got a few more already lined up and many others who we're communicating with. So I think it's going to be another great season.
Yes, absolutely. If one thing has not changed, Dave, and that is crunch time is becoming even longer and more extended. It's a very long meal. It's like several bags of potato chips crunch time. Now I say that is where we're trending. And to the extent that we're getting better, I would like to thank our friends at Artificial Intelligence for cleaning things up.
Yeah, I think the last interview we did, Duff, I think crunch time was 25 minutes.
Right. Yeah, we have for the first time, so stay tuned for this. One of our guests turned around and turned crunch time on us, took the bag of potato chips and dumped it on our heads and started firing questions at us, which was really cool. I really enjoyed
reverse crunch time. It was awesome. Yes.
So what we're going to do, Dave, is we're going to not give everything away, but we're going to play a couple clips, all right, from upcoming material, and just give a little bit more of a taste of what's coming up. One thing also that we're going to talk about in early season 2, pickup basketball. I just came from a pickup run at Archie Williams. It was great. Played 3 games, started the morning. I feel fantastic, Dave. And we have some intel from our friends in the community as to the best pickup games in Marin. And then we delve deeper into the shoot tournament, which we've talked about before, Dave, which is Old Man Ball, an institution here in Marin County. So we just have a lot of great content. You're going to love it. And we're going to play some clips, and then we're going to come back and talk about a few of our recurring segments and then something new, Dave.
Beautiful.
So it's total Hoosiers. I'm on the bus talking to this dude. The passengers are warning. I'm in my uniform. It's cold. It's really cold out. And I get to the field house. I walk in. It's a huge indoor track. And in the middle, they've constructed a basketball court. Technically, Knights, I'm not supposed to be watching the players play. But so I see Keith Smart, Dean Garrett, Ricky Cal, all Americans. Right. This is the first time I've seen the whole team. I see all the assistant coaches, the trainers. It's like a village in there to itself. And this time I can really feel the the seriousness of what this means. I had not felt that before. Now I'm like, wow,
So this is it. This is your chance.
This is it. Not just this, of course, this is my chance, but like what this means to what these guys have created, what Coach Knight has created, what Hoosier basketball means. In that moment, I get emotional thinking about it. When I started, I was on the sidelines and watching Keith Smart and Dean Garrett and Callaway and others, Steve Isle, watching them cut and move. I had never seen basketball like that. This is the first time in my life I'd watched basketball played at this level.
Like from, whether it's Coach K and Pat Summitt and obviously John Wooden, all these things. And it was like, it was kind of, as part of that process, I had to write like a mission statement for myself of like why I coach. And I kind of came up with like, I am in this business because I do think obviously coaching as a profession, it's a business more than ever at the Division I level now, but because it gives me relationships with people, it gives me a platform to have relationships with people that go deep enough to have a positive impact on people's lives. And that became kind of my why of like what I do and continues to stay my why now.
Remember back then they had a 4 and something season. And then the following year they came back, went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a huge transition to do that with relatively the same player.
Lost to the Niners, right?
Right. Yeah. And they lost to the Niners
Yeah.
in the last second throw from, I think it was 34 seconds left to go. Montana back to pass. Montana to Taylor for the touchdown.
Yep.
Right. We all watched, if you're a kid, you all watched it here. And it was incredible. And what's funny about that game is I get drafted by the Bengals, 158th draft, which is the second to last pick of the 5th round.
5th round. Okay.
And I've been watching guys get drafted before me. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta be better than that guy. What's going on here?
Yeah.
But I get drafted by the Bengals. I go out there for mini camp. I walk in, I meet Sam Weish. I meet Chuck Studley, who's a defensive line coach, who also was at the Niners for a little bit. And lo and behold, I meet Tim Crumright, who broke his limb in the Super Bowl.
I still have
one of the worst injuries
image.
anybody's ever seen on live TV, next to
Theismann. Harrowing image. Crumright's leg.
Same thing.
God,
Right?
Smith,
So here I am. I'm in minicamp, and he's on crutches with a 22-inch rod in his leg and pins going up and down, and he's just crutching around, smiling and doing his thing. And and I thought, wow, is this guy going to make it back? I don't know, but I'm on the team and I'm trying to make the team. And at the end of the day, when I get to training camp, which is another couple of months later, he's my roommate. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 2 months, 3 months, maybe, April to July there. And I thought I was tough, really.
Yeah.
High school,
Sure.
obviously I was like, I'm tough. And, college, I'm super tough. So going to the pros, I'm going to be tough, right? I'm going to do all the mentally tough, physically tough. I'm a tough guy. And then I met Tim Crumright.
All right. That's good stuff. And that's not even the best of it, Dave. I didn't even clip out the best stuff. I'm saving the best for our listeners in season 2.
Duff, you're an editing whiz.
Mm-hmm. None of the editing has been done, by the way, but it will be done. All right. So we got the same stuff. We got the banter, Dave. We got some iced coffee mixed in for season 2. We're going to have the conversations. We're going to have crunch time, reverse crunch time. And we're going to keep going with the Hoops Glossary. I think our listeners really like the Hoops Glossary. And then we have something new, and we're going to demo it on this teaser episode.
Absolutely.
So, Dave, what time is it?
Duffy, it's dime time.
It's dime time. All right. So we had player control last year. We're bringing that back. We have the glossary. We had sponsor time this year, but last year, Dave, we had sponsor time. This year, no sponsors yet, other than Jeff Skaggs, Nike San Domenico Camp. Thank you, Jeff. But we will be getting more sponsors. But we are moving the time. Time is moving laterally to dime time. And as you may know, we haven't covered this in the glossary, I don't believe, but a dime is basketball terminology for what?
A beautiful pass.
Yes. So we're going to be dishing some dimes, and these dimes are not necessarily basketball related. They might be, they might not. But these are just recommendations. This is just a little bit of life advice. This is some accrued wisdom to the extent that two guys that are middle-aged and have lived rough lives in the wild streets of Marin County can dish out to our listeners. So, Dave, why don't you go first with your dime time submission?
So I had this idea, Duff, a couple weeks ago. Many years ago, there was a radio show I would listen to, and there was a segment called "Do Yourself a Favor," where the host would just give people life advice, and it would be simple stuff like you have, we always need like nail clippers, right? And nail clippers cost like 80 cents or $1.50. So why don't you just buy like 10 of them and put them around your house so that we're at whatever room you're in, open that door, there's a nail clipper. I still remember that. That was like 25 years ago. So I was thinking about that the other day as I was driving, and Duffy, I have no ability to provide life advice. I am not productive. I am not useful. I am not efficient. The one value I bring to the world, Duffy.
No. We got to stop there. Come on, Dave.
Whatever. The one value I bring is I listen to podcasts. I'm a content guy. I really like listening to podcasts, and I got range stuff. I go from obviously basketball nerding out, but I listen to podcasts about politics, about current events, about pop culture, about music. I like to consume podcasts. I like them. I like making them too, by the way. But so I was driving, as I do, and I was listening to a new podcast, and I kept pulling out my phone in my notes area of my phone and writing down things that these guys were saying. And that's a sign to me that, okay, this is a really useful podcast. I really like it. So I wanted to share it with our listeners. And the podcast is called Glue Guys. And Duff, you and I know what a glue guy is. I think many of our listeners probably know, but a glue guy is a term typically used in sports for someone who just makes the team better, not necessarily the star, not necessarily the leading scorer. Someone like a Draymond Green is a classic glue guy, makes everybody around them better. And so this podcast features 3 people. Alex Smith, who was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft by the 49ers and had a long and successful career as a quarterback for the 49ers and the Chiefs, but had his share of ups and downs, including a life-threatening injury and a lot of challenges in his career. Shane Battier, who was a great basketball player out of Michigan, went to Duke, played 4 years at Duke, won titles, and then had a really long and productive and great NBA career, but was never a scorer, was never a star, but was just a winner. And then the last guy is Ravi Gupta, who is from the venture capital world. He was at Sequoia Capital. He later became, I think he was CFO of Instacart, and he's had a very successful career in business. And the 3 of them just discuss leadership, teamwork, overcoming adversity, all the kind of general stuff that, a lot of people talk about in podcasts, but they come at it from a really interesting angle, and they have some great stories. And the one teaser I'll give to this, Duff, is Alex Smith told a story that really resonated with me. And I just was thinking, I want all of our listeners to listen to this, and I want all the kids that I coach to listen to it. And it's basically to make it really efficient. Alex Smith struggled early in his career. He was the number 1 overall pick. He was viewed as a bust potentially, and he was constantly in his head and worried and nervous. And he would say that on game days he would throw up out of anxiety. And he had a bunch of coaches that were kind of up and down. But when Jim Harbaugh became his coach, everything changed for him. And he said that Harbaugh would, before the 49ers went out to take the field, they would go warm up, get loose, come back through the tunnel into the locker room. And right before they go back onto the field, Harbaugh would say this to them every game. He would say, play as hard as you can, play as fast as you can, for as long as you can, and don't worry. And Alex Smith was saying that all I did in my career was worry. Every day, all day, I was worried. And here was my coach right before we're about to run out of the tunnel and play in front of 60,000 fans. And the last words he tells our team is, don't worry. And he said, I can't tell you how powerful that was for me, saying Alex. And so it's stories like that really I thought were meaningful. And so that's why I wanted to drop a dime to our listeners, Duff.
I love this idea, Dave, and I love that initial recommendation. And I love that advice from Coach Harbaugh. And it's interesting because as a coach and even as a player, the worry and the nerves, you don't want them to be absent altogether, right? Because then you risk being not prepared. But you don't want to bring them onto the field with you. So that timing of telling that to a player as they're going out to play seems perfect, because you do want people to be nervous and worried some in their preparation, because if they're not, they're probably not going to pay as much attention to detail. But once you go out on the field, you just got to you know this stuff, right? So don't worry, just go play and, show what you know. So yeah, that's great. And I probably will take that. There are certainly certain players that I see where that would be perfect advice for them.
Well said. Yeah, you want to have that edge.
Yeah. And
some players need, I once had a boss, I was about to make a presentation and I said, man, I got butterflies. And he's like, that's good. Butterflies are good. That means you're living, right? You're doing something that you're challenging yourself. And if you don't have butterflies, that means you don't care or you're not doing anything hard. And we got to do hard things. So you're absolutely right. You got to strike that balance. But I just really liked that message from Alex Smith. Again, this guy who, has made millions of dollars and was literally the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And he was worried, and his coach said, don't worry. And I really like that. So anyway, that's my recommendation, Duff.
And maybe he shouldn't have worried about being replaced by Colin Kaepernick and, losing a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Well, he was replaced by Colin Kaepernick. And then later on, he was, a mentor and then replaced by a guy named Pat Mahomes. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. What do you got?
Well, I love this new segment so much. I got 2 things because as you were talking about listening to podcasts, I was reminded of a book by Adam Grant called Give and Take. And it talks a lot about how you can categorize people into givers versus matchers versus takers. And that one of the important things to do in life and in relationships is sort of have an idea of how your relationship is with individual people or with a community, whether how you fit in, giver, matcher, taker. And I would say, Dave, big compliment to you. You are probably the biggest giver I know of content related to podcasts, but also to basketball more broadly. Like you send out little clips of interviews and of plays. I get more ideas for drills from you and maybe Tom Poser, but you are a giver when it comes to the content that makes my life better. So there you go, Dave.
Thank you, Duffy. Appreciate it. Yes, I'm guilty of being an oversharer.
No, it's great. So I have one more thing to share as we're talking about oversharing. And this is going to kind of come out of nowhere, but I was so shocked to hear this that I do feel like to our Marin listeners, especially, we do have a demographic of our listenership that is, in the retirement and past age, that there is a new scam going on at ATMs. And this scam is not just in Marin, but I heard about it from a friend who was scammed at the Fairfax Bank of America ATM. Shame on you, Bank of America. And the scam is that there will be someone loitering about the ATM and someone will come up and maybe be fumbling with their card or trying to put it in the slot. And this person, could be anyone, will just say, hey, that's not working. Do you need a little help with that? You gotta press it against the scanner, and then they'll offer to help. And so they'll grab the card from this person who just wants to get a little bit of money out of their Bank of America ATM, and they'll sign it in, and then they'll watch as the person puts their PIN in. At the same time, unbeknownst to the person putting in their PIN, the card that they have just handed over to this very helpful stranger is being swapped out for a fake card. And that fake card is going to be now handed back to the owner of the real ATM card. And the person now has someone's ATM card and the PIN, and they're going to go on a little shopping spree until they get shut down. So in the case of a friend of ours, this ended up being $6,000 within a couple.
Ouch.
Of yeah.
Wow. All right. Good public service announcement there. That's another dime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want to, you'd lose a lot of dimes.
So just lose many dimes.
Maybe don't even go to an ATM anymore. I don't know that we really need to very much, but if you do, be careful. And if someone's, being excessively helpful, watch out. They may not actually be helpful at all.
All right. Be careful out there, friends. Okay. Duff, fun to get back at it. Listeners, hope you enjoy what we've got cooking up for you in season 2. Thank you for all the support. And Duff, should we throw out one more plug for if anybody out there wants to sponsor us? We are certainly open to entertaining discussions about sponsors. We've got a few of our season 1 sponsors who are re-upping, but we'd love to have more. And again, we're just trying to build community here, talking about basketball and Marin.
Yeah, and we haven't really done this before, Dave, but you hear it a lot on podcasts. If you like us, give us 5 stars, subscribe, send our podcast to someone else, a friend that you think might like it. And we're trying to build our listenership. We're going to be posting the ad you heard or a version of it on other podcasts, and we're going to put up some banners that advertise our podcast. We just want to grow a little bit, share our community, and just really just talk about basketball and ATMs and give and take and whatever we feel like talking about. Just share ourselves, Dave.
Absolutely. Just dropping dimes left and right. All right, Duff.
All right, Dave. And thank you to Luke Esterkin and Stroke 9. And take us out. And we will be bringing season 2 opening episode in 1 week. 1 week, Dave. We're going to be dropping on Mondays. Dropping dimes.
Can't wait. See you, Duff.
See ya.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day.